Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Let's talk a bit about Kundalini. It's a topic that comes always again and again. The mysterious mystic Kundalini. In the yogic tradition, they symbolically describe it as a snake-like force that is resting in the Muladhara, in the lowest chakra, so in the lowest part of the spine. Like a snake that is 3.5 times wound around the spine, and then the yogi learns to wake that snake up, that it crawls up the spine until it reaches the top of the head. Of course, this is symbolic. There's no snake there. There is a potential energy that is usually only used to a very small extent in our physical manifestation. And then the yogi is doing all kinds of exercises to try to wake up that potential. And as it is getting more active, more parts of the body are included. So they talk about the chakras. Now in the modern spirituality, they all talk about chakras and how to awaken chakras and what this chakra does and that chakra does. The chakras, they are entirely subtle. There is no physical evidence of them. But when the energy is getting stronger, different energy centers in the body gets more activated. The stories about Kundalini keep on very much changing from one source to another. What exactly they are doing, the chakras are doing, what the Kundalini is doing, what it is. Many think when the Kundalini reaches the Sahasrara, the uppermost chakra, then that's the full enlightenment. Now this is not quite so. The same thing happens also to people who are not doing any yogic practice for the Kundalini. As they are getting quieter, more conscious, then a gradual energetic change is happening in their body. And it may be so gentle and gradual that they never have the idea that there is anything like a Kundalini rising. Whereas the yogi who is focusing totally on that may feel, now this part is activated, that part is activated. There's no doubt as to where the usual human consciousness is. There are energetic and physical changes happening when the consciousness is expanding. But it can be described somewhat like an energy is rising up in the spine actually in the entire body. And when it reaches the top of the head, there is peace. The great yoga master Swami Nityananda, the guru of Muktananda, he doesn't say when the Kundalini reaches the top of the head, there is the great enlightenment. He says the yogi is driving up the Kundalini with pranayamas. And once the Kundalini reaches the Sahasrara, then he starts his concentration. So it's like this is a preparation. First, bring about the necessary energetic condition, and then the yogi can go deeper by intense concentration. These things are not happening exactly the same in everybody. So we cannot make a dogma, this is happening exactly like this and like that. Apart from that, those chakras are not the only energy centers. There are energy centers all over the body, in the hands, in the feet, in the joints, in the organs. And they also get gradually activated. Now, Kailas, he has sent me a video of a scientist who is examining the spinal fluid. As the Western medicine very well knows, there is a hole in the middle of the spine, which is filled with fluid. And all the major nerve endings are embedded in it. What I didn't know, that I learned in that video, that also there is a layer of that same fluid around the brain, acting as a buffer to protect the brain. On top of that, there are chambers in the brain that have the same fluid. They are connected with the spinal fluid. But usually, they are disconnected with the brain. But then they found out in deep sleep, when somebody is totally resting, that that same fluid, somehow the gates are opened and that same fluid is flowing into the brain, in a way washing the brain, cleansing the brain, regenerating the brain. And obviously the yogi is experiencing something similar. By consciously, without sleeping, bringing the energy up in the body, then that same spinal fluid is also going into the brain. That helps change the level of consciousness. Now, the scientist, he's also a practitioner, and he gives quite a rigorous possibility of breathing exercises to drive that fluid up so that it goes into the brain. One can do so. It is not that actually this fluid is producing samadhi, that this fluid is producing cosmic consciousness. It's more that on a subtle level, energetically, something is happening that is also reflecting on the physical level. But it's mainly an energetic thing, that the energies in the body have the tendency in the most of the people, there's always a little bit a war of the energy that wants to pull up and the energy that wants to pull down. And if we can bring harmony in that there is not more that continuous pulling in different directions, but that the whole psychophysical manifestation functions harmoniously, then that war is finished and there is peace. And I didn't know that about the fluid, but of course it feels like that the brain is getting relaxed. So similar things that happens to people when they are sleeping, and that's why, and part why we need sleep, to regenerate the brain and the nervous system. And the similar things happens when we get quiet. Whether we are doing that first with breathing exercises to come to that point, or whether we are doing that with any other spiritual practice, it doesn't really matter. If that intensity of consciousness rises and harmonizes, then these physical changes are happening automatically. And one can feel them. And so there, that myth of the snake has been born, that the snake is there rolled up and has to rise up in the body. It's just that the energy that pulls down and the energy that pulls up, they are harmonizing, and it feels like an energy rises up in the body to the top of the head, and after that actually it distributes in the whole body. And it's not really fixed to the spine, but more and more when the whole body is being experienced and manifest as a harmonious manifestation of energy, more and more the feeling is also that that energy is rising right down from the feet, not simply from the bottom of the spine. But I will certainly believe what the scientists find out, that it, on the physical level, that it has to do with the spinal fluid being capable of flowing into the brain, even in the waking state, if the necessary quiet state is achieved. That it is becomes similar to sleeping, although we are awake. I think it's great that the science is trying to figure out things like this. It's certainly not simply a physical thing that is happening, but maybe by learning more about the physical changes that are happening when we are doing sincere and intensive practice, that can become very helpful in the future. How to make the practice easier. But still, I say, it's primary energetic. Consciousness, energy, love. When we come back to the purity of those three aspects, then the physical changes start to happen. Anyhow, thank you, Kailas, for the video. It's interesting what they are doing, the research they are doing. Hope they find out more about it in the future. Sometimes people asked me, but then if I'm not interested in the Kundalini, is there a chance? Yes, we don't need to think about Kundalini. Just bring the attention back to the essence, dive into it, and then all the energetic changes that are necessary, and even the physical changes that are necessary, will happen all by itself. But breathing is a method that they are recommending, at least this scientist is recommending very strongly, and definitely, as I have said often to you, breathing is magical. If we learn to breathe consciously, then that can bring us all the way back to the source. Because much more is happening than simply pumping air into the body and out of the body. On a subtle level, if we breathe consciously, we become more and more aware of the subtle energies, and through the conscious breathing, physically, energetically, it starts to harmonize and the tensions disappear. And in that harmonious manifestation, there is the possibility of consciousness to expand. All right, I leave the subject and I come to a question from Mariano. He said, when everything goes bad, everything has the tendency to not function well. There, people often talk about dark forces that are influencing it. Others are talking simply about bad karma, but many people talking about dark forces. And he will ask whether there are really dark beings that influence us. Definitely, as there are on a subtle level, as there are divine beings that also influence us if we are opening up to those. There are also dark beings if we open up to them without being aware of it. Simply getting sucked into negativity is like opening the door that dark energies can support the negative mood we are in and then make it stronger and more difficult to detach from it. And he said, I'm talking about opening up to the light, whether there are other ways to go about it. Well, I'm talking about most of the time, just don't get sucked into it. Learn to become aware when that dark mood is rising, no matter where it's coming from, whether it's coming from our own subconscious, whether it's coming from dark forces outside, whether it's from karmic influences. Just see when it is coming, observe what it is doing and detach from it, and by then not fighting it and not getting sucked into it, it doesn't stay long. It comes, it's there for some time, and it goes. And by bringing the attention back to that which makes the experience possible, that is already the totally opening up of the light of existence. So yes, definitely, this is a way to go about it. He asks, what about prayer? Is that also a possibility? Yes, of course, because if we pray with a sincere heart to God to help us, to free us from dark influences, then that is certainly one way of not getting sucked into it and not getting into a fight with them, but simply redirect the attention back to the source, to the essence. How we are doing it doesn't really matter, but that is the crucial aspect, that we redirect the attention to that which makes the experience possible, and from rooting the attention in that, there we can observe what it is doing, and if we are not getting engaged into it, it cannot stay. It comes, it's there, a moment, it goes, and it's not a problem. It doesn't leave traces, it doesn't leave grooves that become bigger and bigger and create more and more problems. But sure, there are dark forces who try to influence it. And especially right now, it's extremely intense. There are both dark forces and lightful forces very strongly present. For that, it's very good that we are observing, watching in what direction that we are opening. For whenever we let the attention slither into negative moods, depressive moods, hateful moods, then it's like we are opening up and the dark forces are only too happy to come in and support that and make it stronger. But whenever we are opening up to love, to harmony, to expansion, then we are opening up to the opposite forces and they are also very happy to come in and support us. Okay, I leave that also. And then there is a short question from Marie that often I'm talking about just being with the emotion. When the emotions come, instead of being stuck with the situation, bring the attention back to the emotion and observe the emotion. And now somebody told her that he had once to stay for 3 days with an emotion until it subsided. Now, I'm sure this is not quite true. You cannot stay for 3 days with an emotion and just with the emotion. But I can believe that there is an issue one is struggling with, and it turns round and round and round in the brain, and we keep on holding on to and extending, and that can go for a long time. But then you are not really staying with the emotion. When you really redirect the attention directly to the emotion and observe what it is doing to us now, how it is influencing our experience, it cannot stay for long. Within short time, it starts to fade away. That doesn't mean the issue is being resolved, but at that moment, the issue has not taken over you. You got the necessary detachment, and it's whatever has brought out the emotion is getting weaker. It may come back and bring about the same emotion, but if we are dealing with it again in the same way, the issue is getting less powerful. It may still be there as a memory, but not more be able to always flood us with uncontrollable emotions. I mean, for example, if somebody close to us dies, then there may be the mourning for something. There may be sadness, and that may take quite some time until this disappears. But it's not that that emotion is there all the time and we are staying with that emotion. It's the situation that is there that brings again and again and again the emotion. But emotions are waves. They come, they have a peak, they go. And they wouldn't stay for 3 days. So when that man said to you, Marie, that he stayed for 3 days with an emotion until it subsided, then he was not quite correct. He was staying with that issue that brought about that emotion. The emotion came and left and came and left, but the thoughts were hooked into the issue, and he had to stay with the whole issue until it subsided. But if something brings up an emotion, and we withdraw the attention from the issue, look at the emotion, observe what it is doing, learn to relax, learn to detach and relax, then very quickly the emotion subsides. But as I said, that doesn't necessarily mean that the issue is resolved. There may be too much of a charge, but for the moment, we are not more whelmed by it. But then the issue may still be coming back and nagging in our mind, and we start to think about, and the emotion comes back. But the emotion is not going to stay there on and on and on and on and on until we resolve it, and then it disappears. And if every time an emotion comes connected to that issue, and you deal with that emotion in that way, that emotion never stays very long. But every time you consciously deal with it, the power of the issue is diminishing, and then gradually lets you in peace. Okay, I leave that also. And now I'm asking you, my friends, is there anybody who would like to say something? You're welcome to come in.
Oh, hello.
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 Hi.
I think there are two.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
okay.
I can go.
You can stay. It's late for you in Australia, huh?
Thank you, Werner. Yeah, I'd like to stick around mostly, but often, yeah, because it's late and my health issues, I might pop in and pop out. So thank you.
Yeah.
So a few questions. I did the Sudarshan Kriya through the Art of Living, the breathing meditation many years ago.
Yes.
And they told us not to wear leather while we do the practice.
Not to wear?
To wear leather.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And but they didn't say whether that applies to other meditation techniques. So, for instance, I have boots which are woolen on the inside, and they've got leather on the outside. Everybody wears them in Australia. They're called Ugg boots. Is there an issue with wearing leather in meditation? Does it affect it?
I mean, there may be a teeny little bit of an influence, but you don't worry about it. It's not capable of really influencing your sincere meditation. Then it doesn't matter what you wear or whether you wear nothing. There are also practitioners, yogic practitioners, they say you should wear silken underwear in order to preserve your energy and stuff like that. All these things, they may have a slight little influence, but don't hook your attention into that, and then they are rather irrelevant.
Fantastic, thank you. And I've noticed that my dreams, I have a very similar theme in my dreams that's played out over the years.
Yeah.
And the theme is based on a deep-rooted belief pattern that I hold.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a way to, when I wake up in the middle of the night, because I can wake up and then go back into the dream, of kind of working... It's funny, I was going to say of working with the belief, but I guess maybe, what would you suggest?
It depends now. Yeah, is that dream, you would rather like to get rid of that dream, or?
I don't like the dreams. And the dreams are different, like they're different, but the theme is always the same based on a root belief that I hold.
Okay. Then if you wake up and you find yourself that you just came out of that dream again, then consciously turn the attention to something different. Don't stay with that dream theme, but connect with the divine, connect with your essence, breathe or do the mantra or whatever is natural for you, and then go to sleep like this, and there is a chance that you are not sleeping back in the same dream. And also when you go to sleep, try not to just jump in the bed and then let the mind loose completely, but bring it to yourself, bring it to the divine essence and try to fall asleep like this, and then it's less likely that you are dreaming. Still, it may happen, but the more you go to sleep consciously in that way, the less this kind of dreams that are unwanted will come and bother you.
Okay, fantastic. And prayer, it's funny, like when I think of prayer, when I think of the concept of there's a loving presence in the universe, then the idea of prayer I really understand and I get, like, you know, like a mother or, but when I think of it more from consciousness is in with me and everywhere, I don't understand how prayer works. That's one question. And also, how often, I know this, it's, well, like I know that sometimes that I have, like, when I've felt so helpless, I've been on my hands and knees or whatever. But anyway, I've cried or prayed really deep from within. And in those moments, I feel that my prayer is heard. And then there are other times where I just have a simple wish in my heart. It's like a joyful wish and it manifests straight away. It's not even I'm thinking of yeah, it manifests straight away. So I guess, like, my question is, how often and how intensely do we have to pray if we want something in our life? Maybe it's just reminding ourselves of what's really important. So it's not so much, what I mean to say is, yeah, exactly. That's my question. I'm sure you'll open my eyes to some things.
Right. You said, okay, if you think of the divine as a loving mother, then prayer makes sense. But if you think of abstract consciousness, then who is there to pray to whom? Right. And reality, the divine, is abstract and incomprehensible. And that's at the same time also personal. These are the two aspects of that incomprehensible existence. And they are equally true. And you can connect more on a personal basis or more on an abstract basis, according to people. And some they shift and sometimes connect like this and sometimes connect like that, and both works the same. So if you pray sincerely, then you feel that you are praying to God, that is you and God. And if you are not feeling that personal being there, but connect with pure consciousness, then if in that state of connecting with pure consciousness, a sincere wish is rising, then it's like a prayer. You're connecting with the divine and it may manifest. But we should not put it now in the mind, so we'll try to do that to somehow continuously get little things and arrange our life externally all the time like this, because there is no end to it. And then it can get the habit that instead of trying to go deeper, we just try to manipulate our external situation, and we would do much better praying to become aware of the essence than praying to be relieved from the pain of that comes along with the feeling of separation, than praying about all kinds of things on the way. Sorry. there is a phone that rang that shouldn't ring. I put it on no disturb, but then obviously it's still ringing, even if I put it on don't disturb. Now I put the sound out. So don't create a conflict in your mind, whether the one is right or the other is right, but use your prayer and that capacity to manifest things wisely, that you don't get fascinated and a bit sidetracked by it. That you direct it in the direction of becoming self-aware, of becoming aware of the divine, of being liberated from the personal stuff.
I mean, we're applying for some funding from the government just at the moment to help us because I'm not working, just for health reasons. And, you know, I guess I have been putting out the desire, the wish, the prayer to get that the funding is approved. But I think even with that prayer itself, it's I mean, part of it, because I know it'll make our life easier and less stressful. And having I guess we're not praying for like millions of dollars. We just want enough money just to make our life easier at the moment and less stressful. So I know that's not the ultimate divine prayer but I think that it's okay to have, but I don't think that's an incredibly selfish, egoic prayer either. Could you expand on that?
It's all right. You hope that you can be more at ease, at peace, if that is happening. And if basically when you are not stressed out by the external situation, you are more ready and have more time and have more energy to go deeper into yourself, then this prayer is also for that, and it's all right. If you pray for money and simply after that to have a nice holiday and enjoy yourself at the beach, then maybe it's less of a good prayer. But basically, you want to be capable of continuing your spiritual practice and to make your life harmonious and peaceful, and so nothing wrong with giving that out into the current in form of a prayer, in form of a desire. At the same time, we can always develop also the capacity to accept whatever comes as God's will.
So because it's taking it might take a few weeks for them to, we've sent through the application, but it can take a few weeks before they decide if they're going to approve it or not. I have been kind of asking for support from the universe to support us in getting the assistance we need. But then, you know, there's a part of me that's probably wanting to try to control it. I don't know, but this is where the question comes up. How is it enough just to pray once and God hears it, or do I pray a few times? I mean, there's part of me also, the reason the question is there because there's also some fear of maybe I'm not worthy of it, or it won't be granted, or it won't work out, and how to work with all of that, and what's the best way with this, just
make order in your mind that you are clear that you want that because it makes it easier for you to continue your spiritual practice, to go deeper, that you don't have to necessarily be in a stress all the time. And then how many times you want to pray, that's totally up to you. It's not necessary that you pray again and again, but if you feel to give out that prayer again and again, then you can also do so. At the same time, also develop that attitude, okay, I'm giving this impulse into the current, I'm giving it to the universe, but at the same time, develop that capacity, and then it's up to the divine will, what will be the outcome of it. To accept the divine will and pray, they are not contradiction. You can very well give that impulse into the current, but then at the same time not fix yourself that in case it doesn't work, then it's the end of the world. Then okay, this is my honest desire, and I try not to misuse it, but use it for the best, and then leave it up to the universe what finally comes out of it. Not to try to be in control. You can't actually.
Oh, thank you so much, Werner.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I loved hearing that. Thank you.
Very good.
Hurry on.
Wish you well. Hurry home. Hurry home.
Hurry on.
So before I saw that Kailas opened up, you would like to come in? Ah, there you are. Hello, Kailas.
Yep. Hi, Werner. Yeah, so I just wanted to add quickly to what you were saying.
Yes.
Since I brought up the subject. So about this doctor and scientist, I think his work is quite impressive.
Yeah.
Because it's not often that we find someone who has let's say one foot in each world, with
Yeah.
hard science as well as yoga and spirituality, both at the same time. So I just wanted to share the link to the video with everybody here, because I think quite a few people might be interested. So I'll just post the link on the comments.
Great.
And yeah, also just to add that anyway, this doctor scientist Mauro Zapatera, he really makes he suggests that in fact this cerebrospinal fluid is what gives us the sense of I am, and then also because of that, it's also actually what connects us to source. So that's quite you can say kind of a groundbreaking claim, because like in the field of consciousness research, I mean, for many years scientists have been trying to find the physical seat of consciousness in the brain, but have never been able to find it. And so I think essentially his claim is that it's because it doesn't have a physical place, and it's because it's actually the whole fluid, the cerebrospinal fluid, which surrounds the brain and is inside the brain and is in the spine and surrounds the spine as well. So yeah, that's quite a radical idea, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so far there's no, but he doesn't prove it scientifically, and I'm not sure that I buy all of that, but it's quite an attractive idea, I must say. And then also another thing is that he is also a practitioner of craniosacral therapy.
Yeah.
And I guess also the implication is that through craniosacral therapy, we can activate and stimulate the flow of the cerebrospinal fluid, and therefore also yeah, create or generate the same state of deep relaxation and cleaning the brain of toxins, which is what also happens in deep sleep and also in deep meditation as well for some people. So again, that's quite a radical idea. So yeah, that's it, and I'll just share that link with everybody in the comments.
Yeah. So, can I say something to this?
Sure, of course.
I think he has really found something that it's like he says it's basically the source of the I am, and I think it's just on the physical level a link that is important, but the I am is prior to the body, it's prior to anything, and then in the body, if we learn more and more scientifically what helps us to connect, that can be extremely greatly helpful, but I don't think it's the source of the I am. No. like people say, you think with the brain, and if the brain is not right, then you cannot more think. But the brain is simply the instrument through which the thoughts can be manifest on this physical level. And I do believe that it's very well possible. I have not gone into the matter, but it's very well possible that they find out more and more about the spinal fluid, that it is the link that is necessary, that pure I amness can sort of flood into the manifestation. But I wouldn't call it the source of it. Finally, it doesn't really matter how you put it. If they found out how to work with that fluid more consciously, it certainly is going to be very helpful.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Anyhow,
Werner.
you are welcome
Yeah.
to put the link there in the comments.
Yeah. Okay.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, Leora.
Yeah. Just to say something about craniosacral therapy, that it's a very powerful therapy. And from my experience, it has been putting me into like very relaxing states and spiritual, I would say, like having imageries and but yeah. I wanted to ask about being attached to continuity, like continuity of the story of my life. Somehow I feel that a big part of me has given up on dwelling on my life story. But there is also a part that I still feel I need, something in me needs to hold the continuity, like also to the future. I understand that it's maybe also fear of losing the sense of me, and maybe it's only that, but it has been very present in my life since. At the same time, I can feel being in the present so deep and pure also. I'm happy there. every minute, without having to connect to yesterday or the day before. Yeah, but it's like there's great fear somehow there still.
Right. The sticking to that sense of continuity is basically like being afraid of dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's certainly rooted in the idea of me, a personality. Because you, as you are, as a being, you don't need continuity because you are prior to time. You are timeless. So a continuity means an endless succession of tomorrows that is never broken. It means that has to do with the me, with the image I have of myself. And I want it to continue because if I let it go, I'm afraid, then what's left? That's dead. And as you have described, you had these moments where you were not concerned about it, and there you are simply naturally at ease, at peace and joyous without having to hold on to the idea there was yesterday and there must be tomorrow. There was the last minute and the next minute was there, but simply by being, because then you are touching your timelessness. And there in your timelessness, the very idea of continuity doesn't even arise, or loss of continuity. And the story, actually, we are creating the continuity in our memory, in our consciousness. It's our experience as a person is more like a little moment, a little picture, a little picture, a little picture, like snapshots. And then in the memory, we create the continuity and we project it that it has to continue in the future. Because my life depends on it. If there is not that continuity, then I'm gone. But of course, you are not gone as what you are, but the image is dependent on it.
Yeah, so like when somebody dies, we tell things about them. This is what we do in the funeral. We tell things about them, yeah. So I like tell things about myself to myself. Sometimes it's so painful when a memory from childhood comes, and I had a very harsh childhood. Yeah, I feel it's there as glimpse. It's less glimpse, yeah. It's less and less though, but there's still some like something that I don't really control. I mean, I can't control it in a way because when it comes, I can concentrate and say like, not important. Just let go, not important. But sometimes it grabs me like, yeah. So anger comes or sadness but I don't even have the need to tell it any longer. Yeah, sometimes I still have the need to tell it, but usually no. So I guess I'm on the right path, but it's like yeah.
Yes, that was certainly a strategy that you told yourself. It's not important. Do not get attached to it again and again. And maybe you can do a step more to treat it as I have been describing many times. If it comes, if it attacks you, then you don't try to push it away by telling it's not important, but then, okay, accept it's there and experience the pain experience the anger, experience all what comes with it, but don't get lost in the story. Just be in the present and see what it is
Yes.
doing
Okay.
to you and learn to relax in it. And there it's really losing its power.
Yes, I also do that. I do
Yeah.
that.
Right.
I do both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You are continuous. You are prior to time. There is not really a past or future. These are ideas that belong in the time-space continuum, and you are prior to that. And so for you, the idea of losing the continuity doesn't exist. It's only for the role that we are playing, for the person, for that me ID we have that is concerned about continuity.
Yeah. So the more now I feel, I have been feeling for quite a while, but intellectually I understand it. And it's becoming more and more present, like the energy. I'm not sure how to say, like if I understand something intellectually, and then it's becoming more and more clear somehow. I don't know if it's energetically or it's not a belief, because beliefs also can be like hindrance, really. So it's not really a belief. Eventually, maybe it becomes nature. Like I'm sort of asking.
Right. Actually, it is your nature, but eventually it starts to become your experience instead of always slipping away from the experience. But everybody, without being aware of it, has always these glimpses. When life is good, when something is nice, when there everything is okay, then somehow people let go and touch that timelessness. And there is joyousness in it. And at that moment, they are not concerned about what happened yesterday and what's happening tomorrow. They are not torturing themselves. Things should be different because everything is fine. And in that situation where they are happy, they let go and touch that timelessness. But then after that, in the mind, the happiness is associated with the situation, and we try to recreate it and want to continue it and hold on to it and want to do so many things, not understanding that actually at that moment I had a sense, a direct sense of that naturalness, which is not dependent on anything. I simply made it dependent because I liked the situation. And then I wasn't resisting against the situation.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about very well. And I know I can, yeah, like I feel, for instance, that I'm becoming more and more generous, and I would express generosity sometimes even when I'm sort of unhappy or pissed off because things didn't go the way I wanted or whatever. It happened actually last week somehow, but I just felt the opportunity came and they said, yeah, okay, do it. Something happened
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And I just felt it was the right thing to do. It's not that it made me happy more or happy less. I just felt that somehow there was a call for me to do it.
Yeah.
And I did it. It was an experience. And I know what you're talking about, but I'm less and less dependent on when things are good or bad. Things are. I don't know even what good is and what's bad is. I mean,
Right.
I do feel somehow that some improvement in relationships with people and with the world around me. Of course, I feel it, but it doesn't depend on what is happening. It depends on my somehow connection and spiritual, yeah, my experience. And
if you are
yeah.
connected with your essence, I mean, we are always connected, but if you
Yeah.
become more consciously connected with your essence, if you become more aware that that connection is there, then there is peace and harmony in you, and naturally it will radiate and make it easier with everything else.
Yes, 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 yeah, it does, yeah. Yeah. Okay, Werner.
We leave it at that for now. Huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Hariyo.
thank you.
Hariyo.
Hariom, Hariom.
Hariyo. Is there anybody else who would like to come?
Hello, Werner.
Hello,
Hariom.
Vikas. Hariyo.
Werner, I have got two questions.
Yes.
Number one is there any breathing exercise which you can suggest us for this Kundalini thing which you taught us today, which you talked about? And my second question is, why our consciousness becomes small? Like we, as you said that we have been there for a long time and from past, and we are there, and we always want to grow, but we want to get everything for our own self. We become very selfish, and then we have a lot of pain, and then we realize that no, this is not correct, and then we try to again increase our consciousness. Why does all this thing happen?
Because of Maya, because of ignorance, because we were somehow slipping in this time-space thing here, which makes us forget what we really are. There is that layer of forgetfulness, and then we grow up feeling that we are born in a world, growing up as a little child in a world that functions in a certain way, in a very selfish way, and invariably we are getting tainted by it, getting conditioned by it. Instead of living naturally in harmony and expansive, we learn to live disharmonious, not aware of our natural way of existing, and just think what is happening, that is natural, but it's not natural, it's just usual. But the mind, the conscious experience is very much then sucked into the common stream, and we start to do the same thing that everybody else is doing, until we start to reflect and say, hey, it could be different, and then you start to sometimes step out. And from there, a new aspect comes in again that is not influenced by the common stream, and we have to nurture that new creative aspect to find our way back, to become, to learn to be as we naturally should be. But the Maya of this world is strong, and it's quite overwhelming. And a few rare souls escaped it and never got confused by it, but no, almost everybody gets totally confused while growing up, that what is happening, how people are functioning, that is human, that is natural, that is normal, but it's not. It's just the usual way of functioning, which is not natural. So I asked you, I replied to your second question. As to the first question, I'm not going to give out a program of breathing exercises that everybody should do, because people are different. You have now already started a certain exercise, and do you feel good with it?
Yeah, I feel good.
Yes, so continue that. If you have specific questions about that, then maybe we can talk privately about it.
Okay. Right.
Right.
Thank you, Werner.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om. I saw when Vikas opened, there you are back. Hello, Andreas.
Hello, Werner. Do I rob myself of energy by my inner dialogue? Because I feel when I'm just like meditating, my energy gets better and clearer.
Yes.
And in my usually day life or so, I have the suspicion that just by like taking myself too important and wondering about this and that is what is robbing off my energy.
And you are perfectly right, it does. We are spending loads and loads and loads of energy just to think and think and think and think. And especially if then that the tension comes in, me and the other, and we have had a bad experience and we hold on to and think around it, it's like a drain of our life force.
Yes. So the way to stop it is to just be more in the present?
Yes, learn to, when it's there out of habit, learn to see it, become aware that it's there. Because most of the people are most of the time not aware how much they are thinking all the time. And learn to be more alert and be aware how much thoughts are going. And once we become aware, then we can learn to find ways of stepping back, of detaching. It's not so much of learning how to control the thoughts, but to detach from that urge to think all the time. And then as the thoughts are getting less, you are spending less energy for that, definitely.
Yeah, a lot of times my energy is low in a way, like it depends on the weather too, not only on my thinking. Yes. But do you have any suggestions like how to promote more energy? But besides,
actually, we have all the energy that we need, but what we can learn is to see how we are unnecessarily spending it. And of course, the circumstances like the weather or also subtler influences that are there, sometimes the atmosphere is charged in a way that is more difficult to deal with it. Then when you become aware of that, there, without being aware of it, we cannot really do much. But becoming aware of it, becoming aware how the weather is influencing, then not hook into the ID, for example. Oh, it's bad weather, so I'm low in energy. But then when that mood comes, then see that mood and learn to detach from that and not get sucked into it, and then it will influence you less. Some influence from the circumstances will be there, but if we learn not to get to slither completely into it, then the energy will be there to use much more creatively.
Yeah, I'm watching more and more my own resistance against things, and I think this costs me a lot of energy.
Definitely, resistance against fact is misery. We don't have to non-resist in the sense that we think everything is wonderful and fine. We can very well say, understand and see things that are happening, and I think it's not fine at all, but not resist against the fact that it is there, because that resistance is futile. It's there, so it's not an absolute fact, but it's a momentary fact. And resisting against fact is misery. It makes us miserable.
Yeah. How much time should I spend like with, I don't know, if spiritual, no, it's not spiritual practice, maybe with trying to be alert, that basically would be the best to do that the whole day?
24/7.
Okay. I feared you would say that.
You have the right to sleep in between. But not in the sense that you have to put that in your mind now as a new heavy burden. Oh, damn it, I should be alert all the time, but learn to be playfully about it, and then it becomes more attractive, and then you become more and more aware all the time.
Yeah, but I think I waste too much time with like playing games on the computer or watching TV, which is not.
If you want to play games on the computer and want to watch TV, then you check with yourself, okay, all right, I watch TV and then watch TV. If you want to play a game, is it okay? Okay, and you play the game, but then don't just let that pull you to stick with it on and on and on. Then, okay, I wanted to see this, and then after that you turn off the TV and don't look 10 other things that could maybe also be interesting. If you want to play a game, then you may tell yourself, okay, I give myself that much time and I play, and then you play happily, and then you turn it away. So that we are not somehow just sticking and in a way actually getting dull and bored, but still continue.
Yeah, thank you. Because I have a tendency to be lazy, but I have a tendency to be too strict with myself and torture myself in ways.
No, then you just found do what you want to do and found it in a reasonable proportion. And there you can be a bit strict that if you think I'm going to watch this and after that I turn off the TV, that you also do it.
Because I feel like if I'm too strict with myself, there's a risk, then I just force myself mentally, but
Yeah.
the resistance is there and it's not doing any good.
Yes, you have to best find the middle path, and how strict to be with oneself, how much effort in like self-control, and how much we can be a bit lenient with ourselves. Everyone has to find out for themselves what is really healthy. And if you observe, if you are honest, then you find that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. How are you?
How are you?
How are you? Is there anybody else who would like to come? You're welcome. We don't have to become all ascetics and force ourselves to do spiritual practices whole day long and live frugally. If somebody wants to do that and it comes from the heart, then that is the right way to go about it. But what we can learn is to be honest with ourselves. Because deep down, we always know where we should go, which direction to go, how much to do this and how much to do that, how much we can leave just relaxed enjoyment and how much it's good to be a bit self-disciplined. Deep down we know it because, of course, that connection with the essence is always there. But we have learned to listen to our mind so strongly that what should be naturally there, we have to develop again. That subtle listening inside, or as it's often expressed now, listening to the heart. It's of course not the heart, the organ here, but listening to our essence. And if we decide that we want to be honest, then we can learn to be honest. It should be natural. Why should we deceive ourselves? Simply because of what I said to Vikas, because of the Maya of this world, because of the illusion, ignorance. The knowledge, the awareness of the essence gets lost being born into this world, and then the consciousness is still in touch, but is all curious and open, and that baby is exposed to all those currents that are unnatural. And we grow up in that and learn more and more to become unnatural and think it is natural. But then when we become more conscious, then we become aware. No, it's not natural. I just have learned it. It's the conditioning that has formed my experience and my way of functioning and my way of reacting. And it is possible to detach from that. But we have to basically intend to be honest with ourselves. And that also we have learned to always cheat ourselves, tell stories to ourselves, justify something that deep down I know perfectly well. It's not quite right, but I think enough about it and justify until I believe it's right. To go this way, when I feel no, it would have been much more in tune with myself, with the harmony, with existence, if I had gone that way. And so we have to intend to be honest, and that again and again, and have a good look at ourselves. And the more we become honest, the more naturally we feel from inside that guidance, where it's going and how much. And this is different from individual story to individual story. How much self-discipline is helpful, how much we can give as time to simply have a good time in between. But even when we do that, we can learn to do that consciously instead of half asleep, getting completely lost without missing the pleasure of it. Be honest, learn to be honest, intend to be honest, and observe, am I honest? And then if that sincerely, that intent is placed in the current sincerely, then we will get more and more honest, and in that increased honesty, we know our way. That guidance comes from within. Hello, Andreas, you're back.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I think after meditation, my inner dialogue is quieter and I'm clearer. But like after like 45 minutes, 50 minutes, my legs hurt. But there's also a mental tendency, even though it feels most of the time good and clear, that wants to go back into my usual inner dialogue and do something entertaining. Or I mean, even so, meditation is a lot of in a way nice for me.
Yes.
Where does it come from, this pull towards to go back into the usual grateful inner dialogue that is like, and sometimes I'm even like, I don't want to do it anymore, but it's still draws me in.
Yes, it's the power of the habit, that the habitual personality I'm identifying with, deep down I know it's in a way a cage, and I want to get rid of it. I want to go beyond it. I want to transcend those limitations But then the habitual experience says, oh, no, it's too dangerous, and wants to pull us back into the usual way of functioning time and again. It's just the power of the habit. It feels not comfortable. I long for freedom. It's often painful, but at the same time, it's so familiar and cozy. And there, when you see that pull, then you can also learn to objectify it instead of just let it build up and dominate you again. It will happen, it will pull you in, it will dominate you again, but as you see the pull, then you can accept, okay, it's there. You can understand, okay, it's out of habit, it's there because I have been functioning so much. And the easiest thing to do is what we have been doing before all the time. Every step to break out of the habitual way of functioning is like an effort at first until it becomes natural. So the easiest way is just to stay as we are and keep it going, even if it's not happy. It's cozy because we don't have to make effort. So when you see that pull, then you see that pull and say to yourself, okay, the pull is there, but I don't have to give way all the time. But you, as you said before, you use the word torture. You don't have to torture yourself to sit and sit and sit and sit. But then when you decide you stop sitting, you stop meditating, try to keep that meditative attitude as good as you can. And then later in your day-to-day life, remind yourself again and again. Come back to that. Make this kind of mini meditations in the midst of your actions. That for a moment you stop, for a moment you consciously breathe, for a moment you consciously relax and bring the attention back and let it go into your source. But then when it's pulled out again, then okay, when you become aware how far you are again apparently disconnected from your true being, then don't wait until, okay, then in the evening I'm going to meditate, or tomorrow morning I'm going to meditate. But right there, you just, at least for a moment, turn back and connect consciously, relax. And even if you stay only a few seconds, really consciously connected, these few seconds are very precious. And if you do it again and again, it starts to more and more collect its own momentum and becomes more powerful. And eventually that direction, that pull becomes more powerful than the habitual pull to just keep on going in the same rum, usual trend.
Yeah, it seems that in my daily life, if I try to center and be present, it's just a short moment and it doesn't go very deep. I'm
Still, better than not doing it, even if you think it doesn't go very deep. And if you do it again and again, gradually it goes deeper, even if it's for a moment. That's don't create an excuse in the mind. It doesn't go deep for not doing it.
Yeah, but you said like it needs a certain kind of energy or mental discipline to do spiritual practice, right? In a way, because it's unusual. It's not the natural thing.
At the beginning, it needs more discipline, and gradually it needs less because it becomes more natural. And it has become quite natural for you that you have your time for your meditation without having to make an effort, big effort about it. But to bring that more into your day-to-day experience, that seems to be an effort because it's against the usual current how you are functioning. But if you are capable of bringing a certain playful mood into it, then it doesn't look like such an effort. But I can assure you the effort is worth the trouble. Not that you are torturing yourself all the time, but the moment you become aware, look, where am I going again with my attention all the time? Just right now, center, breathe, relax. Or even if you don't want to center, you said you are not so comfortable with a point, then just bring your attention to the breath and relax. These two aspects in itself already help you for a moment to step out of the current. And even if it doesn't give you the same feeling of depth, like when you're sitting and meditating, it still cuts the usual current. And if you do it again and again, it becomes more powerful. Gradually, it goes deeper, and it's becoming more simply natural. As it seems to be natural to slip in the usual mental, this inner dialogue all the time, then it becomes more and more natural to step out of it and connect. Eventually, you may come to such a state that it's rather an effort to think unnecessarily.
Yeah, I would like that, but I think part of me is still very much attached to my daydreaming.
Yes, we have the feeling it gives us somehow a substance, somehow a fulfillment. And even if you return, withdraw the attention another moment here, and then suddenly the moment, the idea comes, what did I think just before? As if we had lost something precious, even if it's nonsense. But it's just an unconscious habit that gives us a little bit the sense of being alive. But it's so limited. We can learn to neutralize that and become aware that sense of being alive can be so much more profound and expansive than that.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om. Okay, and with this, we will now finish the satsang for today. I wish you all well. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.